Assalamu alaikum. Today we have Mr. Masood Khan, President of Azad Kashmir. Welcome to Washington DC from Next TV.
Thank you so much for having me.
I want to know, you spoke at the General Assembly in New York. What was your reaction to your speech?
Well, I think that the audiences there are receptive to what we are saying, but we do not want the audiences to just listen to us, but do something about it. And I think it is the responsibility of the United Nations Security Council, the General Assembly, and the Human Rights Council to take some action, because Indian atrocities have crossed all limits and there is no action from the United Nations. There has been some action in Geneva because the High Commissioner for Human Rights has sent a message to India that they should receive a fact-finding mission, but India has rejected that offer. So I think that well, we have tried to reach out to the international community. There is receptivity. They are aware of the atrocities that are taking place in the occupied Kashmir. But we hope and expect that there would be some concrete response, some concrete action by the international community, particularly by the United Nations Secretary General and the UN Security Council.
You are the 23rd president of Kashmir, right? And so you come with there's a lot of expectation from you because you have such a vast background in diplomatic missions, and you've traveled and you've spent a lot of time. So how are you thinking of doing anything differently?
Well, I'll promise less and do more. This is my motto. And I think that we have three priorities in Azad Kashmir. One is to work on the Kashmir issue ceaselessly, with determination and resolution, until we steer the entire movement, the freedom movement, towards some productive result. The second is that we will focus on good governance inside Azad Kashmir. And third is that we would work on social and economic development. It's a package. But I think right now our priority is to accelerate our efforts for the realization of the right to self-determination of the people of Jammu and Kashmir.
Do you not feel that there's not enough awareness of what is actually going on in Kashmir as far as internationally? Are you thinking of using the media or any other forms of communication to put this message across?
I think there is awareness. All these news agencies, international news agencies placed in Delhi, they're monitoring the situation, and leading newspapers all around the world and television networks do report about the deteriorating situation in the occupied Kashmir. So I think there's no dearth of awareness. The real problem is the lukewarm reactions. In fact, the apathy and expediency that drives their reactions and responses. So we have to break through that thick wall of very, very calculated responses, because they are looking at Kashmir through the prism of India or through the prism of realpolitik. They're looking at their interests and balancing them. But I think that this is, in addition to strategic interests, this is an issue which impinges on the dynamics of international law, and we expect the international community to move forward and bring some relief to the people of Jammu and Kashmir. You must have heard that the United Nations is quite active in advocating establishment of humanitarian corridors in Syria, in Yemen, in African countries. But when it comes to Kashmir, they are silent. I mean, there should be a humanitarian corridor there too. UN OCHA and other international organizations, other international humanitarian organizations should play their role. At least they should try to reach out to India. So I think our struggle will continue in this regard.
Nawaz Sharif, the Prime Minister of Pakistan, spoke really strongly in his address to the United Nations Assembly. Do you think that might have some effect?
Well, it has had an effect because he took the international community into confidence, and the Prime Minister of Pakistan highlighted the plight of the Kashmiris, and he emphasized the need for some action by the United Nations to push the entire region towards peace and stability through dialogue, through resolving the issue of Jammu and Kashmir. So I think that it has had that impact. An Indian reaction to the Prime Minister's speech has been very negative. I think that despite all the atrocities that have been committed by India and other excesses that the occupying forces have committed, the Prime Minister of Pakistan, as a statesman, has also offered them talks, some sort of engagement, because you cannot resolve an issue like Jammu and Kashmir through war or through confrontation or through escalation. So I think that let's hope that international diplomacy would become active after this speech. We hope that the Secretary General of the United Nations should take some action. The United States should get involved. Some behind-the-scenes mediation, some sort of facilitation for a dialogue, for engagement. Otherwise, the situation would worsen.
How does the CPEC, the Chinese Economic Corridor, affect Kashmir?
It doesn't affect Kashmir at all. CPEC is an arrangement between Pakistan and China. It's a mega project. It is being implemented, and CPEC, some of the projects pass through Gilgit-Baltistan, and Azad Kashmir has this natural aspiration that it should be part of CPEC. Part of the rail and road network, infrastructure development, power generation, communications, and this is happening. I think that Azad Kashmir would be integrated into CPEC, is being integrated, is already being integrated into CPEC.
So it'll have a very positive effect on Kashmir.
It has a very positive impact on Kashmir, on the region, because this project is about connectivity, connecting East Asia to South Asia and West Asia, and also creating a new neighborhood which is devoted to coexistence, to collaboration, cooperation, and win-win partnerships. And Kashmir would contribute to that. Azad Kashmir would contribute to that effort.
Do you think the present crisis that has escalating has any reason because of what's happening, because of the CPEC? There's a little discomfort about the development of that?
India has complained about CPEC and they try to sabotage it. I mean, they have objected to it very vociferously. But I think we've been telling India and other countries, some of the Western countries also, that we're working on win-win partnerships, that this project would benefit these extended and very closely connected neighborhoods. So there should be no worry. You question whether this present crisis has been triggered by CPEC. I don't think that there is a direct linkage, but India, we know, has been uneasy, very uneasy about CPEC. I think that their real objection is not because some of the routes of CPEC pass through the disputed territory of Jammu and Kashmir, but because they do not want to see Pakistan as a stable, prosperous country.
They also have some, they don't have a very strong relationship with China too, and they wouldn't want China to be so close to their, passing through Pakistan near them.
India and China have a good working relationship. and the volume of bilateral trade is very high. They also have periodic meetings and dialogue. Of course, they have some strategic differences which they are trying to resolve. But I think that the atrocities of Indian occupation forces in Kashmir are directly and indirectly affected or driven by China factor. But that said, I think that these Indian occupation forces, they have been committing these atrocities for the past 7 decades. This is nothing new. The only thing is that in the recent past, they've crossed all limits in terrorizing the people of Jammu and Kashmir.
In the international community of countries, which are the countries that are actively working towards resolving this issue and helping bring this conflict to an end?
We have the support of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, and but our complaint right now is that the international community is not very active on this issue. The United States itself, European countries, they are bogged down in many conflicts in the Middle East and Africa, and they are not paying attention to Kashmir, although potentially this is the most precarious situation. This is the most dangerous situation prevailing in South Asia. Not just South Asia, but the whole of Asia. And I think we would like to urge the international community to step forward and help us resolve this issue. Pakistan is ready for a peaceful solution of the Jammu and Kashmir dispute, and so are the people of Jammu and Kashmir. The United Nations is ready to play the role of a facilitator, but India has been obstructing any movement towards resolution of the dispute. So I think the international community, Pakistan, the people of Jammu and Kashmir, all should continue to work on India.
Mr. Masood Khan Sahab, thank you so much for speaking to us, and good luck with the rest of your trip.
Thank you so much. Thank you.